All right, guys, welcome back to another SafeZone Entertainment, Motorcycles and Music, interview with a biker. Today we got something different, way different than we normally have, because most of us ride cruisers or the sport tours. We got an adventure tour, and not just any adventure tour, we got a BMW. So the rider is Ian, and hey Ian, let's talk a little bit about this.
Let's do it.
So what do you got?
Well, this is a 2006 BMW R1200 GS Adventure. So what that means is it's got a larger tank, it's got some protection kit, and it weighs a lot more than the regular GS. But other than the chassis, everything's pretty much standard.
So is this like the top tier of these models?
Yeah,
or?
in the year of 2006, it was the top tier of the BMW GSs.
Okay. And so is this your first bike?
This is my very first bike. Call me crazy, 1200cc or 11790 or 1170. Yeah, I was a little intimidated when I first
so you didn't even start with the little, the gradual steps up. You went full on leader.
Straight on adventure, off we go. Yeah.
Well, but even still, even at a 1200cc, it's still a boxer motor, so it's not as crazy as a lot of your sport leader bikes.
No, definitely not. And because it's a boxer opposed twin engine, it's low down, so the center of gravity is awesome on this bike. Okay. So once you're moving, it's awesome. When you're moving around the garage and other places, that's where you. And then of course I'm 5'10". The bike's a little tall for me as a standard. I can't get quite full footed on both toes. So again, as a new rider, that was a bit intimidating.
Yeah. Just so you guys know, because we worked together. So I did watch him the other day try to get his bike up onto two wheels off the kickstand, and he was on a bit of a slope. It was well worth the watch because he was kind of up and then down and up and down. So,
Yeah, you got to think about it, especially at my height, 5'10". You got to think about where you're going and where you're putting your foot, for sure.
I asked this for everybody. Have you named your bike? I mean, a lot of guys on bikes do. Not everybody does, but
I've called it a number of things over the last 5 years, but no, I don't have a name for it yet.
Okay. What got you into the adventure tour? Why this style of bike?
When I was a child and my early teenage years, I spent 2 years in Germany. My father was in the military in the Canadian Forces, so I fell in love with BMW right off the start. Lots of BMWs, obviously, being in the heart of Germany. So I think the BMW itself was kind of the way to go. And then a good friend of mine from Edmonton had a 2012 GSA, and you know what? I saw him pull up on it, and I just went, yeah, I got to have one of those one day. So that's kind of how we came to be.
And have you gotten this thing off-road?
Yes, I have. Yeah. Again, with the help of I had 3 other riders that I kind of fell into a group, and they're all GSA owners, and they all have a lot of experience, a lot more than me. So they were nice enough to lead me along the way and be patient while I found my groove. And ultimately, we took a off-road adventure course through OAA, Off-Road Adventure Academy. So we went up to Belfort, BC for 2 days off-road.
I know where it is.
And you know exactly where it is, Toad Rock, I love it. And then we did a 2-day ride up in the areas around Belfort.
On the big hill descent. 15% grade.
Squeeze out front, 2 fingers. Slow down if you can. Slow down. Weight back.
There you go again.
Go, girl.
Hold my beer, watch this.
Front, squeeze.
That's pretty good.
So do you prefer on-road or off-road?
Well, I definitely prefer on-road, and I think a lot of new riders would say the same thing. Everything's a little more predictable on road. The bike handles a certain way on road. This bike is more than capable off-road. I'll give that up right away, but I found for me, given its weight and its height, like I said before, even just stopping at a stoplight or something, putting my foot on it, and when you're off-road and it's uneven terrain, you can really get yourself in some trouble. And I have laid her down a few times, nothing too crazy, but picking it up, it's fully loaded, it's over 600 pounds, which for you big guys, cruiser guys, that's no big deal. But when you're off-road and after a full day of riding, standing up and leaning over the handlebars and doing all that stuff, it wears you out. And having to pick up this 2 or 3 times in a day is a lot.
What's the worst moment you've had with this bike?
I think the worst moment I had was in early spring. My other friend from who used to live in Cremona now lives here. He has a GSA. We went out for a little ride up near the Rocky Mountain Cadet Camp, so kind of out in that area there. And we went into some back roads, and in the tree line, along the tree line, there was ice, and I didn't really know until I got onto it that it was sheer ice. And my buddy had the skill and wherewithal to not panic, and off he went. All I said to myself was, don't panic, and then I panicked. So again, just a gentle letdown, laid the bike down. I might have been doing 20 kilometers an hour, fully suited up, bike slid off into the ditch and I slid off behind it. Fortunately, the car that was coming around the bend that I couldn't see was a little late, so they were okay, and they asked me if I was fine, so it was all good in the end.
What's your, well, let's go the opposite then. What's your favorite moment on this bike?
Oh my goodness, there's lots of favorites. I mean, every time I get on this bike and hit the road, I'm smiling because I'm riding. I think my favorite moments were some of those times, or those excursions we did in BC on that course. Yeah. We went up to some beautiful scenic views that I don't think an average cruiser bike or even some of the cars could got up there. So being able to achieve that and then to see that sort of open up in front of you, the beautiful mountain scenery and so on, I think those are some of my fondest memories.
Nice. Well, you know what? How about we take a walk around the bike a little quick? And you know, these are new to me. I haven't really, you know, adventure tours. I'm shorter than you, so I never really even entertained these things because I didn't want to be that guy standing on the side of the road, you know, at the stoplights, waiting to hop back on the bike, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, let's take a walk around.
BMW GS stands for Gildenstrasse, sorry. So on-road, off-road. This bike has been in production for over 40 years. Some of the most notable things about this particular bike is the telelever suspension underneath. You can see there's one spring and then there's a telelever. So these are actually just fork tubes. They're not actually shocks. So what it does is when you brake heavily or accelerate heavily, the bike doesn't dive like an average shock-mounted bike does. So that's one of the features that I came to enjoy right away. Again, you don't have that super dive if you have to brake hard. Again, this is the adventure model, so it comes equipped right out of the shop, right off the showroom floor with fog lamps, with protection bars. Of course, we've added some protection over the years to protect the headlights because they're quite expensive. And if you're following another group of riders off-road, you can easily eat a few rocks. Brembo brakes, some of the best in the business. So BMW does it right. Some of the upgrades from factory are this Touratech engine guard. The factory ones, quite honestly, are just tinfoil is almost as equivalent. So Touratech upgrade is must needed if you want to protect your engine. And then over the years, I had factory guards for the heads that I bashed off after numerous attempts at trying to drive nice and slow and do tight turns. So I upgraded to the Machine Art Motos, which just protect the head and help the bike if it happens to tip over. Other than that, the GSA comes with a brake lever adapter. So this is just stock, and what you can do is while you're standing, you have a better access to the rear brake. And you tend to use rear brake a little bit more so off-road than you would on-road. So that's handy to have. You don't have to bend your knees so far.
Shaft drive.
Yeah, shaft drive. Single swing arm. So there's only, when we come around to the other side of the bike, you'll see that it's only mounted on one side.
A lot of room in these bags.
Tons of room in these bags. Tons of room. You can bring the kitchen sink if you like. Of course, every adventure rider, I'm sure, makes the same mistake I did, and they load everything and everything. So yeah, I was pretty fully weighted down, and then a minor tip over, and you know, you got to unload the bike, take the panniers off to be able to operate the bike and get going again. So these were add-ons for the previous owner. he put these on. I've never used them. I have a 30-liter tank on board. Will get me over 600K with the wind at my behind. So you're going to want to get off and go to have a wash and break long before that happens. So, but he added these on, mounted them to the rear pannier. So I just basically have them on for show. It's nice. You could also adapt them to water or naphtha or whatever you like to carry if you're doing a lot of off-road and doing a lot of camping. Again, tons of room. Full-size helmet fits easily in there. Love the little German logo. R1200 GS, 180 kilometers max. I can be 100% honest and say that I've never been up to 180 kilometers on this bike. Stock exhaust, sounds nice and throaty. The boxer engine has a nice deep sound, tons of torque. Bark busters were a nice upgrade as well. The previous owner again upgraded, did a lot of off-road with it. So he found that the factory ones are only plastic. So obviously you want a nice heavy-duty metal piece as well. But not only that, it'll save your clutch and brake levers if you happen to do an off or come, you know, basically tip over the bike. So these have been excellent. They also provide pretty good wind protection. Comes with standard ABS. And it has an onboard computer, although it doesn't have all the new tricks that a lot of the newer ones have, like tire pressure monitoring, things like that. But it's enough to keep your ambient temperature, tells you about your coolant temperature, your engine temperature. This is an air-cooled engine, by the way.
Okay, so you know what, Ian? It is like 20 degrees out today, and best thing we can do, I think, is go for a ride. So thanks for coming out and telling us about your bike. And you know, we'll release you to the wild. So
Awesome.
Have a good one, man.
All right, thanks so much.
You bet.